4 days have gone by, and Steelers fans are still reeling from that defensive disaster. It's not even about moving on at this point. It's about trying to make sense of how things went so wrong and how, somehow, it keeps happening again and again on the same side of the ball. Pittsburgh's next challenge is already looming. A primetime matchup against the Packers at Acrisure Stadium. But here's the truth. No one really cares about Green Bay just yet. Not when the defense just laid down like that. Not when the same glaring issues that haunted them weeks ago are showing up once again, like bad habits the team just can't shake. It's frustrating because on the offensive side, you can at least argue that there's progress. Not perfection, not even close, but progress. There's a sense of structure starting to form, a rhythm, a belief that with enough time and reps, things can actually start to click. But defensively? No. What's happening on that side of the ball is not just disappointing. It's alarming. The issues are systemic, recurring, and hard to defend, and they're being exposed week after week. And at some point, someone has to stop pretending this is just a personnel problem or the result of a short week or a tough opponent. It runs deeper than that, and the numbers back it up in the worst possible way. Let's talk about coverage. The Steelers are sitting at number 31 out of 32 teams in the entire NFL in passing yards allowed per game. 258.8 yards. That's not just bad. That's catastrophic. And it raises an immediate red flag. How can a team that prides itself on defensive identity be this terrible at stopping the pass? The whole plan was supposed to revolve around those three coverage guys. That core was supposed to be strong enough that the rest of the defense could thrive without needing to overcompensate. You keep three in the back, let them lock things down, and everyone else attacks the run or pressures the quarterback. Simple in theory, right? Well, theory doesn't win games. What actually happened? The Bengals happened. Joe Flacco happened. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins happened. And the Steelers' secondary looked like a scout team trying to play varsity ball. Even more damning, by the second half, Pittsburgh had 5 guys in coverage trying to deal with Cincinnati's 3 wideouts. That's a silent admission, right there on the field, that the original plan was a total failure. You don't switch to 5 coverage defenders unless you know your 3 can't handle it. That's not a tweak. That's a surrender. And it's not just the pass defense. When you're getting shredded by no-name running backs who have 0 track record of NFL success, it's not a fluke. It's a problem, a serious one. And it goes far beyond just missing a couple of tackles. We can't keep using bad tackling as a blanket excuse. It's lazy. It's not about one guy missing a play. It's about assignments, effort, intensity, gap control, and accountability. And some of these defensive linemen just aren't getting it done. Period. Keanu Benton is one of them. He's young, he's learning, but at some point that learning curve has to start bending the right way. And he's not the only one falling short. If it means shaking up the rotation, fine. If it means inserting guys that weren't in the original plan, do it. Whatever it takes. The Steelers have already done this on the offensive line. They were forced into it. And it worked. That same urgency, that same willingness to make uncomfortable decisions needs to show up on defense. And then there's the elephant in the room, the coaching. Not just the schemes, the whole operation. When we're talking about defensive coordinator responsibilities, we're not just talking about one person. Everyone knows Mike Tomlin is heavily involved. Terrell Austin has the title, but Tomlin has the influence. So, when things look this broken, when there's this much underachievement from a unit with this much supposed talent, we have to start asking harder questions. It's not just about bad performances. It's about bad preparation, bad adjustments, and bad judgment. You mean to tell me that any other coordinator in the NFL would take this exact same group of names and coach them to a 31st place ranking in pass defense? No way. Not even close. And that tells you it's not just about the players. You don't need to be a Hall of Fame football mind to see that something's seriously off. This group was hyped as a potential top-tier defense. People were using words like historic. That's not media hype. That came from the head coach himself. So how do we get from historic to bottom of the league? There's a gap there that can't be explained away with injuries or fatigue or growing pains. That's on the coaching. And if you're Art Rooney, sitting up there watching this happen, how do you not start connecting the dots? This team was built to be competitive now, not next year, not in 3 years. You paid veterans. You added leadership. You kept your head coach. You gave him input into the defensive strategy. You believed in the vision. So now that it's all crumbling, where's the accountability? You can't just pin this on a cornerback or a rookie lineman. Not when the system is broken. Not when the decisions being made at the top are leading to these results. Speaking of cornerbacks, let's get into Joey Porter Jr. He got all the tools: length, speed, instincts. But tools don't mean much when you're racking up penalties and failing to cover consistently. He led all NFL cornerbacks last season with 17 penalties. That's not nothing. 6 of those came in a single game, also against the Bengals. And what did he say afterward? That he's being targeted by referees. That the flags aren't fair. That they're watching him differently. Maybe that's true, but even if it is, you still have to adapt. You still have to find a way to play within the rules and be effective. Otherwise, you're just a liability. Now, to be fair, he's only been flagged twice this season, and both were against the Bengals again. So maybe there's something weird going on there. Maybe there's something about that matchup or those referees. But if you're going to be a lockdown guy in this league, you can't rely on maybes. You can't have a reputation as someone who can't stay clean in coverage. You have to earn respect by being disciplined and consistent. Porter's numbers this season: 9 catches allowed in 3 games. For passes defensed, 2 missed tackles, no interceptions, no forced fumbles, nothing flashy. That's not terrible, but it's not good enough either, especially not for a player who is supposed to be special. He's not playing like a top pick. He's playing like a middle-of-the-pack corner. And middle of the pack is not what this defense needs right now. They need difference makers. They need someone who can turn a game with one play. Porter hasn't been that. Not yet. And that's the thing. This isn't just about Porter. He's one example out of a dozen. There are too many guys on this defense who are either underperforming or simply not developing the way they need to. And while the coaching deserves a big share of the blame, the players aren't off the hook. They're not executing. They're not finishing. They're not playing with that signature Steelers edge. And when you put all that together, the bad numbers, the bad coaching, the bad performances, you get what we saw against the Bengals. A defense that looked lost. A team that looked like it didn't even belong on the same field. And that restlessness isn't just about losing. It's about identity. Steelers fans know this team isn't supposed to look like this. The franchise has built its reputation over decades on toughness, discipline, and defense. This isn't just a slump. It feels like something foundational is cracking. And when the cracks are showing in the exact places where you thought you were strongest, that shakes your belief in everything else. That's the vibe surrounding this team right now. It's not just about a bad performance in Cincinnati. It's about what that performance revealed. Because if we're being honest, the issues with the Steelers' defense haven't just popped up. They've been bubbling under the surface for a while. Missed tackles, soft zones, questionable play calls, bad situational awareness. None of that is new. What's new is the growing sense that the coaching staff isn't just slow to fix it. They might not even see it the same way fans and analysts do. And that disconnect is dangerous. Because if you can't even identify the problem, how are you going to solve it? We've reached a point where even the most loyal supporters are starting to ask the hard questions. Like, why does this team always seem reactive instead of proactive? Why does it take a meltdown on national television for the staff to even consider making real changes? Why are the same players making the same mistakes week after week with no consequences? That doesn't look like accountability. That looks like stubbornness. And stubbornness, when results don't follow, starts to look a lot like incompetence. Let's circle back to the idea of progress, or lack thereof. The Steelers' offense, for all its limitations, shows flickers of hope. A young quarterback trying to settle in. A running game slowly gaining traction. A line that, after enough shuffling, has started to find a groove. It's far from perfect, but it feels like it's building towards something. That sense of upward motion is completely missing on the defensive side. If anything, they're sliding backward. And you have to ask, if this is what it looks like after months of work, meetings, film sessions, practices, then what exactly are they doing all week? It's even more frustrating when you look at the names on this defense. These are not nobodies. These are not practice squad call-ups being forced into action. We're talking about guys who have been drafted high, paid well, praised publicly. And yet, the product on the field doesn't reflect that. This isn't a talent issue, at least not entirely. It's a cohesion issue, a communication issue, a coaching issue, and yes, an effort issue, because there were moments in that Bengals game where it didn't look like a talent mismatch. It looked like one team wanted it more, and that's a hard thing to say about a Steelers defense. But when you see players jogging to the ball, missing easy tackles, giving up inside leverage on 3rd and long, it becomes hard to deny. And then when you see the post-game interviews, and it's the same generic answers about execution, the same vague promises about getting back to work, it doesn't inspire confidence. It just sounds like noise. And the fans are tired of noise. They want substance. They want adjustments. They want urgency. Because this isn't just about avoiding a losing record. It's about salvaging the core identity of this team. Now, could things turn around? Technically, yes. There's still time left in the season. There's still winnable games ahead. But time without action is meaningless. What needs to change? A lot. Scheme, attitude, maybe even who's calling the plays. Because when a defense looks this disorganized, this defeated, you start to wonder if anyone on the headset actually has control. If they're seeing the same chaos we're seeing. And if they are, and they're still doing nothing, then that's even worse. There's been this long-standing belief in Pittsburgh that continuity is a virtue. That sticking with a plan, with a coach, with a philosophy, even during the tough times, will eventually pay off. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes it leads to stagnation. And this is starting to feel like the latter. The NFL is not a league that rewards patience for patience's sake. It rewards those who adapt, who evolve, who admit when something isn't working and fix it fast. And the Steelers, at least on defense, haven't shown that kind of urgency. Mike Tomlin's involvement in the defense complicates things even more. Because when your head coach is deeply tied to one side of the ball, it blurs the lines of accountability. You can't just fire the coordinator and hope everything gets better. That's not how this setup works. Terrell Austin might carry the title, but this defense reflects Tomlin's vision, Tomlin's fingerprints. So if it's broken, it's not just on the coordinator, it's on the head coach. And that's a heavy truth that more and more people are starting to acknowledge. At the same time, there's still this core belief among fans that things should be better, that the talent is there, that the standards are still worth chasing, that if someone, anyone, can just shake this team out of its sleepwalk, there's still a chance to turn things around. But that window is shrinking. Fast. Another performance like the one in Cincinnati, and it's not just the fans who will start turning up the pressure. It'll be the locker room, too, because players know when a plan isn't working. And if they lose faith in the people leading them, the whole thing can unravel in a matter of weeks. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are circulating in the NFL world after a shocking development that has sent fans and insiders into a frenzy. In a move that is already stirring controversy, the league reportedly overturned the Pittsburgh Steelers' recent loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, sparking heated reactions from rival teams and fans alike. According to multiple unofficial sources, the NFL cited administrative errors in game procedures as the reason behind the sudden reversal, but critics are questioning the timing and transparency of the decision. The Bengals, who had celebrated their hard-fought victory on the field just days ago, now find themselves stripped of the win, and many are left wondering whether politics or favoritism played a role. Social media is ablaze with speculation, and hashtags like #SteelersFavored and #NFLBias have begun trending across platforms. Insiders suggest that the league's decision, though framed as a technical correction, could fuel suspicions that certain franchises receive preferential treatment. Within the locker rooms, murmurs are reportedly echoing from other teams, especially those in the AFC North, who see this move as a dangerous precedent. Coaches and players have remained publicly diplomatic, but sources hint at frustration and disbelief behind closed doors. Even some former NFL referees have weighed in, questioning whether the league's intervention aligns with the integrity of sport. For Steelers fans, this is a cause for celebration. But for the Bengals and their supporters, it's a bitter pill to swallow. Rumors are swirling that the league may face formal inquiries from rival teams and possibly even congressional scrutiny should the perception of favoritism continue to spread. While the NFL maintains that the decision was purely procedural, the timing, coming just after a heated divisional matchup, has done little to quiet the chatter. As the story unfolds, one thing is clear. The air is thick with speculation, and every subsequent move by the league will be dissected under a microscope. Whether this episode will fade into an odd footnote in NFL history or ignite a deeper controversy remains to be seen. But for now, the Steelers find themselves benefiting from a decision that rivals insist leaves a bitter taste in the mouths of the competition. Fans, pundits, and insiders alike will be watching closely, waiting to see whether the league can restore confidence in its fairness, or whether whispers of favoritism will turn into a full-blown storm. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.